that's come back. So I think I know that they're all ETF case by case, but David, there's a
forecasting a $400 trillion
Hey guys, this is Brandon from 13 Market Moves. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody had really great Thanksgiving. I have a special presentation on Splunk, which is reporting earnings on December 2nd, 2020 after hours, which is tomorrow. I'm recording this on December 1st, 2020. Wanted to get this out to you. So really, along with all the high beta stocks and cloud stocks, and which this belongs to, has been on fire this year. But will it be an exception? Will it Splunk this Q3 earnings? Which means, is it going to be shortable, right? Technically, we like to short stocks, but not always. But we want to look for short side opportunities. So this 13 Market Moves formula points to the following findings, okay? Now, what we want to know is, does Splunk's earning history have any relevance whatsoever? Okay, what I mean by that is, what kind of a relevance am I talking about? Really, it doesn't really matter because Splunk really has been a company that's been, making profits sometimes, and it's a fairly young company, and really what they report doesn't really matter. What we've learned, it's their subscriber growth, how many user growth, or how many companies are using their platform for the cloud-based e-commerce solutions that they do. Okay, so none of these really matter. It just matters on their guidance, really, but even that's secondary to the subscriber growth. Okay, and that's all that matters for the stock. And we don't like to really pay too much attention other than saying that, look, these are like losses that they're reporting. And, sometimes even on gross revenues, they estimate 443 and they report 434.08. And with the exception of this March 4, 2020, as we know, we were engaged in this total pandemic related market sell-off or crash. Okay, so this is crash right here, and they really didn't report very good subscriber growth, and people were thinking the world was ending. So this is the only period where after earnings this year that this stock went down. Now, couple of things that I noticed, and we're going to be employing this into our market projections. In 2018, you kind of see this distribution where, there's insider selling. It's a young company. It basically, insiders are going to be selling. I mean, I think a lot of their compensation is based on that. The only problem is, again, in this situation, we have about insider selling in the last 12 months. Equating to over $54 million worth of sales. But let's look at the behavioral pattern. 2018, it peaked in Q2, but it really kind of petered down. It just made this nice little bell curve. And then in 2019, yes, they were selling, but it wasn't really pronounced. But look at what happened from Q4 to this year. It's just on an upward trajectory, is it not? And Q4 is too early to tell, but this is really kind of the things that I like to look at and say, if a stock was on fire, what are the insiders doing? Okay, I don't see anybody buying. Do you? Do you see anybody buying anything here? So therefore, what I would say is that's a clue that I'm going to be using to recommend and predict what the stock is going to do. So having said that, let's go further into our analysis of the last from Q3 2019 to Q2 2020 daily macro earnings environment. Look, they beat earnings, missed revenue, but they guided higher. Their subscriber growth went through the roof, and so guess what? It went higher. Okay. Same thing. Q1, they missed revenues, inline EPS guided, and they guided higher, but the subscriber growth, again, is growing. So what happens to this stock? It kind of goes higher. I know there's a little bit of a dip, but really, what's going on with this company? The only times that it went down was like in Q4. They missed EPS. They did a slight beat on the revenue, but they guided lower, and because of the uncertainty of the market crash related to the COVID, because they were shutting everything down at that point, and we're still shut down a little bit, but it basically, they also reported not a very good subscriber growth, and look at that. Are we going to get a repeat of that? Probably not, but something similar. But let's look at the Q3, which is what we're interested in last year, 2019. They beat EPS and revenues. They guided higher in their earnings and subscriber growth. Okay. If that's bullish and the market takes it as bullish, guess what? It's going to be a rocket right up, right? So what is going to happen here? But I'm going to show you some interesting characteristic of this area. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So let's look at the daily picture, really. We know that there is a declining RSI trend, and like I said, most people don't know this, but RSI doesn't show you if it's overbought or oversold, only showing you the momentum and the conviction of buying, and that's the way I like to look at it. But anyways, it's a declining RSI trend. We've got a couple of black candles here, don't we? And in this box, what are we looking at? Basically it's stalling out near the top end of the Bollinger Band, and so having said all that, this MACD looks pretty bullish to me right now, right? And the CCI, which is actually an overbought, oversold indicator that you can use more reliably than RSI, well, I mean, it's kind of pushing at the 104 level, okay? And so it's getting into that territory, but not so much. It's not overbought yet. So what do we do here, okay? So one thing that I want to bring up is it's something things that make you go right? Remember that song? I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself, but I don't give a crap. But anyways, this looks awfully like the setup in Zoom that we had today, right? I hope a lot of you profited off of this. I know 13 Market Moves has, which reported earnings the day before November 30th, 2020, after hours, right? And guess what? Things rhyme, right? I mean, it's like you have to. One of the fun about doing technical analysis in stocks is that things generally rhyme. And look at this. This looks pretty similar, doesn't it? It's similar. I mean, it's not exact, but it's pretty similar. It's hitting near the top end of the Bollinger Band, right? Just like we did right now previously for the Splunk. This is Zoom, by the way. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I'm going to show you what's probably going to happen here, right? Look at all these, the volume on the buy side volume, okay? It's kind of declining. The sell side volume's higher, right? And so, and obviously the MACD looks pretty bullish like the ones on Splunk, right? It's kind of hitting near the top end of the CCI channel, okay? And we have that black candle, don't we? Okay, so what do we do here? Okay, so you want to know what happened to Zoom if you don't already know? Okay, after reported stellar earnings after hours on November 30th. Okay, this is the daily chart, right? So let's get rid of that crap over here. Anyways, guess what happened? Holy cow, look at that gap, right? And I think there's significantly more move coming down on Zoom. But this is likely what is going to happen to Splunk. And not just Splunk, but a lot of the high-flying betas that are reporting earnings, especially the cloud stocks, at-home stocks, that play has been played out. And there's going to be some sector rotation and profit taking place. And Zoom insiders were also selling significantly this whole year. So what Zoom did is it fell after posting blowout earnings and guidance. Everything looked great. It was going to go to the moon, right? Wrong. It basically put a big fatty it came down. It gapped down significantly, and you could have made a ton of money with that. So what about its friend CRM, which is Salesforce, today after earnings report today? It reported earnings afterwards. Bullish chart. Everybody said, oh my gosh, they're going to beat earnings. And people were buying up calls, right? If you're foolish. So let's see what happened to CRM. So basically, this is the regular session today, 12/1/20. And look, I think people might have known something because it kind of did this crazy like a move three, and it traded sideways all day, and then they posted earnings and it was good. The earnings was good, and then it popped, and then it dropped, and so now we have a gap down situation for tomorrow morning. So CRM is one of those other things that if you can find a little pop in the morning, it's probably good to short. Why am I showing you CRM? Because CRM is one of the bellwethers for cloud stocks, and Splunk is one of them. Okay, now we think that there's a lot more movement and daily trading range on Splunk, so we didn't really do much analysis for you all on CRM. So let's go back to Splunk, okay, because I want you guys to all see what's going on and kind of see how 13 Market Moves does their technical analysis. Well, on the weekly, though, Splunk is showing RSI divergences. Look at every time it went higher, and then it went higher than the previous one, RSI is declining. So what does that show you? That's a divergence. It means the interest and the conviction of buying near that area is dwindling. It means the buying power is dwindling, not necessarily overbought or oversold, right? Maybe you can make a case for here's the left side of the shoulder, here's the head, maybe making on the right side of the shoulder. So we think that there's going to be, you know what I'm going to say. I mean, this looks pretty classic to me that it's going to have some downside coming here. MACD is already bearish, right? It looks like it's going to make a kind of the bullish cross, but don't jump to conclusion. It's not what it seems. The CCI is definitely bearish. It can't get over this 100 level, okay? And as basically where it's doing is it's struggling and it's kind of flattening out there. So when we look at these volumes too, yes, there are some, bullish volumes, but really what's predominating now is that the volume is coming down, okay? And there's not really a lot of huge conviction, okay? So very, very similar to what Zoom was exhibiting, and I think it's going to rhyme tomorrow. So this is something that we're very excited about. But here's the caveat. Historically, I went back to 2017, all the way to 2017, analyzed the Q3 earnings, and traditionally, it's the strongest quarter. November 21st, 2020, Q3 earnings is a good example. Okay, again, subscriber growth was good, but it was nowhere near what it is today. I mean, all the stocks are just basically gone nuts after that little crash that we had. Not little, big crash. It's scary crash in February and March. We loved it because we're shorting the crap out of it. But if you're long on any names, you would have been crapping your drawers, right? But anyways, we're reporting earnings after hours, and it gaps up and runs. Okay, so like I said, it's bullish. Okay, let's go to 2019. Okay, I made the error here. It says 2020, but I meant 19. Sorry, I'm human, right? What are you going to do? Yell at me? Anyways, let's look at the Splunk Q3 2018. Similar situation, right? They report earnings, subscriber growth is good. They gap up and they run, right? This just basically goes, opens here, tests the downward range, and then pops back up, okay? And so, but it's pretty bullish at this point, and then it kind of sells off. Here's day one, day two, post earning, 3, 4, and it kind of comes down. But really, I mean, these things are trickier, and what I'm saying is Q3 generally has a tendency to be bullish. Okay, so let's look at Q3 2017. They report earnings. Oh my God. Okay. Bullish earnings, subscriber growth, everything's looking peachy. But look at the stock prices. It's only $84. I mean, this thing is now way above that level, right? But here's a big gap. It's a gap and go. Okay. So it has a tendency to be very, very bullish during Q3. But we think that this year it's different, okay? Apart from many other reasons, okay? I'm not even going to get into any geopolitical crap and all of these other things, but it's been a weird year, okay? So, what are we talking about? So, I want us to short the hell out of this one. If you're adventuresome, you could even probably front run it, but we don't recommend that. But cloud stocks and high-flying beta momos are out of steam, okay? There is significant insider selling, and that insider selling is on an uptrend quarterly basis, okay? We don't want to really see that, and that gives us a little thing called clue, right? And there is a strong correlation to Zoom. The chart looks very, very similar. So the setup in Splunk can be similar to Zoom. Everybody expected Zoom to report great earnings, and they did, and then they just crapped out. And you know what? Cloud stock, the CRM, Salesforce, the darling of all cloud stock, the benchmark, sold off on excellent earnings today also. And we are going to probably profit very well from shorting CRM tomorrow also. But there's better opportunity in Splunk. Just the range is much, much better, and it is a weaker stock in this genre. Yes, the Q3 is traditionally a strong quarter for Splunk, but these stocks and all high-flying betas have run up strongly, and it is time for a pullback after earnings, okay? It's going to be most likely sell the news. I don't really care if they report stellar gazillionaire type of earnings. I believe that this is the temporary top, and it's going to be sell the news. So, Splunk will be shortable. The recommendation is wait about 25 to 30 minutes after the stock opens on Thursday. Be patient. But if you can spot the stock from stalling, or if it just starts to sell off, then you're going to have to jump into it. But after the market opens on Thursday, allow the IV to deflate, okay? If you get in too early, you're going to get a bad fill. So be very, very careful, okay? And short the crap out of the pop. Even if it gaps down significantly, if you can short the pop, expect a range of about 28 to 36 intraday trade, okay? But you should be able to take this up to like 2 to 3 days of swing trading. But you have to kind of know your parameters. Those of you who want to learn more about the ins and outs of the Splunk trade, for example, what puts and strikes, and just kind of more the nuances of how we came up with this. Or if you want to just learn more about 13 market moves, click the link below, schedule a 20-minute consultation with our senior traders, okay? Anyways, I talk too much. Have an awesome trade on Splunk, maybe CRM also, but really, I want you to do well, and let's roll.